And what Daniel is doing is a great example of what Linda and I see, and I know other teachers and leaders feel this way, as one of the keys to the real, what do you want to say, promulgation, the real infiltration, the real movement in and among what Linda says is a beautiful mantra, the hungry, hurting hearts. How are those hungry hearts going to get fed? How are those hurting hearts going to get healed? It's not going to come only, and it may not even come principally, through people finding out about the work when they're already ready to think about it. It may come equally and perhaps even more through the intimate culture of living heart transmission that moves through music, that moves through song, that moves through poetry, that moves through YouTube videos that are not people sitting in a chair talking at you, but something else. That moves through potluck dinners, that moves through, community concerts, I don't know what. Christian, you want to say something?
The word secret agents comes to mind.
Secret agent.
Secret agents, catalytic agents.
Yes.
Secret agents.
Live theater.
Live theater.
I built one. I've designed one. I'm actually in the process of trying to build one, a theater, but it's with the caveat that there's no audience allowed.
Mm-hmm.
It's a 100%
Participatory.
theater. Yeah, and it kind of looks like a heart. If you look at the design, it's very twisted with all these chambers and winding. And the idea was to just fill it with, like, if we could all come up with our own transmission of the heart and embody it in some sort of physical form, that we could just like cover the walls like the refrigerator of a prolific child with all of these things, and you had to walk down these halls, and you wouldn't have time to take it all in, just those pieces that spoke to you, and you would come alive in that moment, and then be able to speak your truth on that stage. Yeah.
So, from my point of view, even at the risk of our having situations arise where we've got to kind of straighten out the kinks and work out the agreements and all that, I really want to encourage everybody, get innovative. Assume that you are the steward of this transmission. And start thinking that way even before you're awake. It's really okay. Go ahead, give yourself permission. Dream. Feel into, how do I want to be in this world? And take it forward. Linda, you, Carly?
You had her hand up for a moment.
Okay. Carly, yes.
Well, I think what I'm just curious about is, like, I'm still in my first life. And, like, this transmission, I've only ever felt it in my body, working with a teacher, maybe a handful of times.
Mm-hmm.
Like, is it just something that happens naturally? Is one of my questions. Like, do you have an intention to transmit, or is it just happening? And people who are not awake, like, are we transmitting? Like, are we all transmitting?
Linda's got a great response to that.
Well, yes, as a matter of fact. Yes, it happens very organically and naturally, and the intention for the teachers and the mentors is not to be doing something at you, to you. It really is a very natural, organic process of just being, living an awakened condition that comes out very spontaneously and radiates to individuals. Now, that's not to say that in workshops or gazing meditations or healing sessions, perhaps, there isn't great intention. You can certainly bring that in, and sometimes that can intensify the actual effect of transmission for participants. So there's that as well. So it's really, it's quite a flow. And as far as first lifers, yeah, everyone transmits. Everybody transmits their condition of awakening or moving toward awakening. For some people, it's not even about awakening. It's really more about just being an honest, authentic, integral person in the world. And that's what they're transmitting. So, does that answer your question?
Is that good for you, Carl?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Britta.
I was wondering actually if I could share a story of my relationship with you and it feels so pertinent to what you're talking about, that I was really frustrated, you know this, by all of this stuff you've been talking about.
Oh yeah, that's right.
A short time ago. And my body had pretty much dropped me into second birth, but my mind, or still a lot of me, was like, this is arrogant, everything you were saying. Why are you saying it's different? What's the point? What's the point of all of this? And I just sent Saniel this email. It was what you're talking about those core motivated, was that what the word was?
Core generated.
Core generated. Like it had to come out. And I sent Saniel an email like, what are you saying? I need to understand what you're saying. Is it different than this? Is it different than this? And you didn't really engage anything that I was asking in a way, just encouraged me to feel into the source of my reactivity. But there was something more than that. Like there was just this sense, this holding, and this. You shared one personal thing about kind of how it felt for you,
Right.
about the way where this embodiment had taken you. And it's like everything in me just relaxed.
Yeah.
There was no mind, there was no explaining. It was just like, oh, I can trust you. And it's like today, I've recognized the difference. And sometimes it's been scary that I'm like, shit, I drank the Kool-Aid. But as you're talking about it today, and there was a really powerful transmission to what you're talking about, Carly. For me, just...
What was that?
There was a really powerful transmission for me, bizarrely, through email. But then as you're talking about it today, it's like, it just feels like my being is like singing with you, what you're saying. Like,
Thank you.
yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, it was interesting on my side. You just never know what's going to come through email. A Facebook letter from Britta. We hadn't really interacted much before that, and so it's funny you mentioned that, because as I was speaking earlier, I didn't have in mind that you had done that. I wasn't remembering.
Yeah.
But she actually did say most of those very things, or quite a number of them. Why are you saying this? It seems grandiose. Why should you make these distinctions? And I tried responding a little bit at face value, and then it struck me, after I'd already signed the note, it struck me, that's all talking about it. And I thought, I should just tell her what it's like. So what I said was, maybe it'll help for you to understand what it's like for me. And I know other advanced waking down teachers and leaders and practitioners feel something similar. And I said, basically, even when I'm around extraordinarily bright and otherwise awakened spiritual people, I often feel like a walking ghost. Unrecognizable. Like as if people are seeing right through the real me, and they might say great things, I really appreciate you. People often say stuff like, I know you're doing great work, but I don't know what it is. And, this is not said disrespectfully. And these are often, in many cases, they're people from whom I learn much. And I'm very grateful to everybody doing their work. So this is none of this, I'm glad I'm getting to this point, none of this is intended as a put down. But it's an important distinction. And I come back to it. That's why I deliberately got a little rasty there at the beginning. I come back to the fundamental motivation. I go into mother tiger mode with my people, especially when I see or feel that you are struggling with understandings that you've inherited from yet hypermasculine approaches, or approaches that do not have this radical organismic sentient emergent quality.